Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, I'm John and I'm back with another video on my channel Musings of a Marine. I've got a video today that's really just a story that I want to tell, and it's about a success story in Iloilo. And I've done some research on this story, so I know a bit about how it all kind of went down. And it's about a lady named Indi and how her and her generation, her siblings, essentially changed the family dynamic completely. Indi was born into a poor family. Her father was a local seaman, didn't go out of the country at all, almost drowned one time when his boat sank off the coast of the Philippines. And they were squatters living by the water. And that's how she spent the early years of her life. And thankfully, after her father got a better job as a seaman, going more internationally, more money came in and they were able to purchase a house. And so the family had a place to live. And there was a little bit money available at least. And eventually, as Indi grew up, she always had this fire to make something of herself. She did go to college, but the degree that she got wasn't of much use in the corporate world and wasn't very helpful in finding her a job at anything. But fortunately, she had a cousin who notified her about an agency to where she could get a job overseas. So Indi jumped at the chance to get out of Iloilo and use this opportunity to make some money and ultimately help her family out as well. So the agency took her to Kuwait. And that was not a good place for any Filipina overseas worker to go. She worked for a Muslim family and her contract was for 2 years. There were times when they would literally lock her in the house and she wasn't allowed to go anywhere. Well, this got very tiring very quickly, and one time when she was allowed to call home, she was crying after the call because she missed her family so much, understandably so. And her employer asked her, why she was crying, and she made up a story about how her mom was sick and that she really would have liked to go home. So they allowed her, fortunately, to go home to visit her family. And Indi wisely never went back to Kuwait. Another opportunity came up that she was made aware of to now this time go to Singapore. And this was a more improved situation for Indi because now she worked for this wealthy Chinese family that didn't have all these restrictions that the Islamic faith puts on women. And she was allowed every other weekend she'd have off and go out and hang out with other Filipino domestic workers. And she did spend the whole 2 years in Singapore. So a little bit better situation, but still not exactly what she had hoped for. Still some restrictions, and I don't know how poorly this family treated her or if they really did at all, but obviously she couldn't have the opportunity to go out and have a lot of fun either. So she did her 2 years there and then made her way back to Iloilo, and eventually an opportunity opened up to go to Canada this time as a domestic helper. And once again, Indi, not wanting to hang around in Iloilo, where her family was poor and opportunity was very limited, she took the chance, took the job, and off she went. And she ended up working for a lady over in Canada who wasn't particularly all that nice to her either. And you know, everybody, as I tell this story, I think it's a way of also relating the fact that a lot of Filipino overseas workers, OFWs, they go through hell, man. They really do. Sometimes their situations are not good at all. And, you know, they're trying to find their place in the world and support their family and make some money. And there's a lot of challenges involved. So here she is on her third go-around now, going to Canada and hoping that this is going to be even better than Singapore, and it wasn't necessarily the case. But fortunately, she found out about another family that was looking for a nanny, a live-in nanny, and Indi was able to get out of the job she had with this lady who wasn't so nice and get a job with this family in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. And this time, Indi struck gold because the family she lived with this time treated her like family. And she spent at least 8 years, I think, as their live-in nanny. She made good money. She had time off to go hang out with other Filipino nannies there in Windsor. Go on all these vacations with the family that she was working for now. When a friend of hers got married, they let her go back to the Philippines and go to the wedding and everything like that. Things really, really worked out well for her this time. And then, as she was earning all this money, she had the good foresight to buy a piece of property in Iloilo as well, one street over from where her family's house was. And for those of you who have watched my videos, I think you're starting to figure out who Indi is. Okay. So she bought some property in Haro. And also, the family that she worked for ultimately moved to Michigan because the father of the family had auto parts businesses in the United States. And she was able to go over to Michigan with them as she was considered an employee of the company. So, all of these good things finally started happening to her. And even better, as she also made money, she also was able to work for a family that knew other people that needed nannies. And by networking with people like that, a family that lived in the same neighborhood as where she lived in Windsor ended up ultimately hiring her sister. So now, Indi has a sister in Windsor, Ontario, got her out of poverty and out of Iloilo. And when that lady ended up getting married and needing a house, Indi was able to help her with that. But to immigrate to Canada, while it is easier for a Filipino to do that than it is to come to the United States, one of the requirements is you got to have some what they call show money. $10,000 was the requirement. And Indi's sister didn't have that money, so where was it going to come from? Well, Indi, of course. She did have the money. So, open up a bank account for her sister, and there you go. Now, Canada doesn't have to worry about here coming over to their country broke and sponging off the system. And so it continued on. Even though Indi came over to Michigan and ultimately got married to an American, she had two other brothers that wanted to immigrate to Canada as well. And the first one immigrated to the Toronto area. Again, the show money was required, and she had to make sure that her brother did have some spending money too, until he got himself established in a job, which ultimately he did. But there was another brother that wanted to come over as well, and it took a little bit longer for this brother because his degree was in commerce, where the other brother's degree was in engineering, which was more sought after profession. So there you go. Again, the show money has to come out, and over comes the next brother, and this time to Windsor again. And so now, Indi, not only herself, has gotten over to North America, but she was able to assist 3 of her siblings to do the same thing. And I am telling you right now, anybody who's watching this video, that this happens a lot. Okay? Because Filipino families are close and they stick together. And they do these types of things for each other. But Indi was the one who wanted out first, and she got out and then did all of this for her siblings too. Now, I have mentioned before that when I first went to the Philippines with my wife Diana, my nieces and nephews didn't have much. Now, my nieces and nephews over there in the Philippines have anything they need. Without question, without any problem, all they have to do is ask. Because my wife, who goes by the nickname of Indi, did what she did. And now her brother Ali, who has since immigrated to England, has, because he married his high school girlfriend who was already over there, her brother Romeo, who's in Windsor now, her sister Gina, who is just outside of Windsor. All of them are now living successful lives. They have good jobs, and they are able to send money to their family back in Iloilo. And this was a big help to the next generation, because the next generation, Michael, Baba, Pito, Annette, they all got helped out by all of us. And Pito and Annette were able to get nursing degrees, and now they are in England, and they have good nursing jobs. And they are able to send money home as well. All these balikbayans that were created, and balikbayan means Filipinos who moved overseas, live in a foreign country now. It all started with what Indi did. And so as you can see, this video is a tribute to my wife, and it's well deserved. I always say she's the self-appointed matriarch of her family. Well, she does deserve that title in a way. Because if it wasn't for her and what she did, leaving the country first, when some of her family members were just too afraid or not ambitious enough to do it, at least that's how I see it, look what happened as a result of it. And now my nephew Michael, he has a job, he has a family, 3 kids. My nephew Baba stayed in Iloilo as well, but he's doing fine, has a steady job. And you couldn't ask for someone to assist us more with our affairs over there, with our house being redone and anything that our condo needs, he takes care of. He is doing all of this, and he lives a good lifestyle now. But as I mentioned, my nephew Michael had 3 kids too, and those 3 kids have never had to want for anything. They are living a lifestyle almost as good as an American child growing up, and in some cases, in some areas of this country, they are living a better lifestyle than some American kids. And who would have thought that that could have happened going back to the 1980s? So I do this video as a credit to my wife, but also a credit to her siblings too, because when they came over to Canada, they didn't just sit around and do nothing. They took advantage of that opportunity and created families of their own. And now my 2 brothers-in-law, my sister-in-law, they're parents, and they're raising their kids right. In fact, my sister-in-law Gina's son Jeremy, he's already grown up, has a wife and 2 kids as well. And he's in Canada, and there's more opportunity there. All of this was created, though, by my wife Diana wanting to get out of the country. And I've said it before, it's kind of a shame that that's what a lot of Filipinos have to do to be successful. If you're not born into money, being a balakbayan is sometimes your best course of action. And my niece Annette and my nephew Pito, of course, were encouraged to be nurses because it was the easiest way to get out of Iloilo. And now they've got good jobs. Pito's a family man now. He's married to a young lady also, I believe is from Iloilo, and I think Carmel is, yes. And and now I have a son, Clyde, and they're living a great life. My niece Annette, her boyfriend Ivan was able to come over, and they could work in the same hospital together. He got out of Iloilo too. All of these things came together, and it's a wonderful thing as after I married Diana, saw it all develop. You know, my nephew Baba is obviously my best friend over in Iloilo, but over here in North America, 2 of my best friends, you know, one of my best friends in North America is my brother-in-law Romeo, and certainly Ali became also a very good friend of mine and not just my brother-in-law. So I'm lucky to have gelled into this family, but I'm also so happy not only that my wife did what she did and ultimately we were able to meet because she came to Michigan, where I live and grew up, but also everything she did for her family. And now when everybody goes to Iloilo, sometimes we can all go over there together. And that's a wonderful thing. When we're going on our trip coming up here in 31 days, Ali's going to go over there too. And he's going to hang out with us and go with us to the places we're going to. And that's going to be awesome. So I cannot wait. Obviously, I'm excited as hell about this. But none of this would have ever happened if my wife, Yindai, had taken that step to get out of Iloilo and try and make something of herself. And it was just a trickle-down effect from there. And you know what, everybody? This is not exclusive to my wife's family. This happens in a lot of Filipino families. And it is a success story. And I just wanted today to share with you story that I've been a part of. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. God bless, and Semper Fi.